Good Tuesday morning. In the letter to the Hebrews this morning, it's interesting. Whoever the writer is, I don't know who it is. The writer encourages perseverance. I remember that theme of perseverance in the monastery from the very beginning. I'm sure a lot of monastic thought today. I don't know why it's early in the morning, and I think about the monks. I think about my monastic vocation in the solitariness and the solitude of the early morning. I do. That's why I get up so early. I've been up since 2:45. And it's after I say my prayers and this and that, so the office, and all the basic stuff in the early morning. I tend to think quietly about them. I think quietly as a monk in the solitariness of the day. I love the darkness in the morning. Once the light comes on, the busyness of the day takes over. But it's these early hours that I'm quiet within myself. And I allow the world around me to speak to me in the silence of the house. It speaks to me in the silence of the house. Isn't that funny? The deer on the wall, the bears, the animals. See, even Lily is sleeping on the couch. She got up early, started barking, but she got up early. And I see the pictures around the people who, Junie, my parents, all the dead. See, and I remember. And I remember the next generation. I see my grandniece Megan and her brother Colin, you see. I see the promise of tomorrow. But I remember the people of yesterday, those who have made a difference. I think of the monks. And that's what struck me today. When I think of the monks and what they used to tell us so often, perseverance. What did that mean? Keep your nose clean? It meant in the journey of life to remain faithful to the calling as you stumble along, not innocently, probably sinfully, imperfectly, impatiently, and all the rest, but stumbling along and never, ever quitting in the vocation you've been called to, and whatever that's called to. My niece asked me, and Michelle asked me a long time ago, God, she was just a kid. She said, why did I become a priest? I said, it was a simple answer. I said, I felt called. I said, Michelle, I felt called. I didn't want it. My folks didn't encourage it. My mother said I was nuts. So it wasn't like I got pushed into it. I felt called to it, and I didn't find it desirable. It wasn't something, I never looked up to the priests. The diocesan fellows said, oh, nothing wrong with them. I didn't admire it. I never served Mass until I was in the monastery. Then I had to learn how to serve at 18 years old. Talk about trauma. I was scared. First time I served, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Most kids start serving at 8. I started at 18. I went to church every day, but I wasn't churchy. I felt called to the priesthood. See? Not what I wanted. I felt called to it. That's the truth. I swear to God. I didn't even admire it. It just felt something I had to do. But then I made that retreat with the Passionists, and that I did desire. If you're in it, let's go for it. That's what it was. In for a nickel, in for a nickel, in for a dime. You know, then let's get it on. In for a nickel, in for a dollar. You know, come on. If you're going to do this thing, then get it on. And I'm glad it saved my vocation. The way that vocation really affected me, because I entered into the monastic life, the interior life. And those men in the outfit saw who and what I was. I didn't see it. I thought I was a dummy. You had to know me in high school. Besides cheating, oh God, I don't want to even talk about it. But of all the gang I hung around with, my brother, he was so much smarter than me, and Al and all the gang was so much smarter. They were all science guys. They were so sharp. I was a dummy. I cheated. I used to do Latin, okay? I used to use a trot. Forgot about it. I cheated. I used a translation. Forgot about it. I mean it. I cut corners everywhere. I was a dummy in the group. And then in the monastery, I saw something. I got encouraged by Father Simon Wood to read Christ, the Life of the Soul by Abbot Marmion, and that transformed my life. First thing it did, I realized that I wasn't a jerk, that I was a child of God, that I was actually in Christ, the Son of God. And I knew what it is to be a son of a father, because I had a great father. I understood that. And then I began to know I can actually think. I'm not as stupid as I thought. Yeah, that's the truth. Within 2 years, I became an intellectual, and I became a philosopher. I don't know if I'm a good one or a bad one, but I'm a reflective one. I entered the world of thought, And I found a home there. And I hopefully have persevered in that in ways I never dreamt, an adventure I had never dreamt of. There was they were trying to be kind to me, some of my friends at home said, Raymond, we didn't think you were XY. I'm a college professor. I have a PhD, 2 master's degree and a PhD. What, are you kidding me? Yeah. I chaired the Department of Philosophy. World scholars, world-class scholars. I helped build a department that was world-class. See? I didn't know I was a leader until I got thrown the ball. I said, okay, I'll lead. When I led, I led. And I found I had a vision. I could turn straw into gold. That was the truth. I didn't know any of this. That's the adventure of life. I got called. If Christ didn't call me to the priesthood, I don't know what I would have been in my life, but I would never have had the adventure I have. Never. I'm like the apostles. They got a hell of an adventure beyond their imagination. They created a civilization. I just helped to build a department. But who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? I remember going to our 50th or 60th anniversary at high school graduation. I think it was our 50th. I'm one of the very few that came out of there as a college professor. Most of those guys were so much smarter than me. And it wasn't that I was smarter than them. I got called. And in the calling, the adventure really took off. Beyond my wildest imagination. Beyond. And it wasn't just the priesthood. That is small potatoes. It was the religious life. It was the passionists. I owe everything to the order. It was the men of the order, the Simon Woods and all the rest. Oh, my Lord. They saw something in me, and they brought it out. They teased it out. They turned me into something I never dreamt I was. They saw in that the rawness of my personality, saw something beautiful and precious. And then they led me to see it, and to see it as a gift. That I was good at what I did, that I wasn't stupid, that I was capable, very capable, that I had a reflective life. It's funny, in high school, my friend Al and I and a couple of others, we used to like to argue about things philosophically. There was a kernel of it back then there too, but for us it was a game then. For me, it's a way of life. You see, it became a way of life. Isn't it funny? I don't know. And to persevere. That was the key that brought on this conversation just now, is to persevere in the life, to what we are called to. If you're called to a marriage, your professional, whatever it may be. But to do it well and to be called into the fullness of it. And I see that so vividly in my own life. You must see it in yours. When you fell in love with your partner in life, that's the calling. And the fidelity is to live it actively. And to discover yourself in the active act of loving another. I don't know how to say it right. But within the order, I discovered who I was because they loved me. And I loved the order in return. And the adventure has been wild. Beyond what I could have ever imagined. Even the life I'm living. I haven't lived monastically in a full sense in 50 years. But I live it in my heart. I'm living it right now. In the darkness of this room. That is, in the sense, the darkness of the night. And the quiet and the light of this room. I look around, I see the story of my life. The narrative is over the walls. It's everything you can see, feel, and touch. It's my story, but it's our story as well. It's a story of a ministry and a life that I could have never imagined, both scholarly and priestly. Who would have thought when I drove into St. Timothy's in 1971 and August 18th, that I'd be here 51 years later? Who could have imagined that 5 generations of people I've served? And all of it unofficially. I don't even know if the bishop knows I'm on the books. Been saying 5 generations. I'm burying somebody today. Yeah. Tomorrow is another funeral. Personal. Imagine. What an adventure. Called to persevering. In what? Walking along the path you're called to walk. Not to quit. That was a great message for the early outfit when I first joined the outfit, to persevere in the journey, not to turn back, to persevere, and the adventure opens up.